This video is a bit more serious than my normal content, so it's not going to have as many edits as my normal videos. In fact, it's not even going to be edited at all. It's just going to be a straight, almost an hour discussion of my tiers and my personal opinions on where characters place on this tier list. This video is long overdue. It's like 3 months, and there's another part after it that will be uploaded shortly after. So hopefully you enjoy, and normal content will be coming soon. Oh. Alright, so when it comes to this first part, we're gonna be going from E to D, I think. I'm gonna say E to D is gonna be the B tier. Yeah. So the first character we have in E tier, and it should be the most obvious pick in the entire
the first
game.
character D tier. In E tier, right?
Yeah, in E tier. The first character. And the worst character in the game.
Obviously Ganondorf.
Obviously Ganondorf. Ganondorf lacks in almost every single aspect except for kill power. The only thing he has going for him is his kill power. But other than that, he has very bad buttons. He has very bad specials. And I could argue he has a worse recovery than Little Mac.
Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Where's Little Mac? Because most people think he's obviously the best, obviously the worst character in the game. But you'll see later.
We'll get to that eventually. But the next character we have in E tier, and the only other character we have in E tier, is going to be Isabelle. Why would you play Isabelle? Some of her tools don't even operate correctly. The little trap shit she has doesn't even work correctly. She doesn't do a lot of damage, doesn't have a lot of kill power in any of her moves. And if you want to play an Animal Crossing character, just play Villager. Legitimately, just play Villager.
The one Isabelle player we met said Isabelle sucked.
Yeah, the one Isabelle
singular.
main. The singular Isabelle main I've ever seen in my entire life said that Isabelle was like D tier at best. Not even at worst, at best.
At worst, yes. And to me, that's one of the worst characters in the game, which is in fact true.
I think honestly, like now thinking about it, you maybe could argue between Isabelle and Ganondorf being low tier, but I think the big thing is just Isabelle is actually like mid at like recovery and like some other tools. Ganon literally just only has kill power.
Isabelle can play lame.
Isabelle can play lame just because of how her character is styled and the fact that it's ultimate. Ganondorf can't play lame, and he's just ass at everything.
Ganondorf just has to go ham all the time.
Yeah, literally you have to YOLO it on Ganon. The next character, and we're going to be moving up to the D tier, is going to be Mii Sword Fighter. The worst of the Miis by far. Mii Sword Fighter lacks in a lot of tools. His special moves are kind of okay. They're not as good as like brawlers or gunners, but his special moves are actually one of his only saving graces. The big thing is the fact that his buttons and frame data are terrible. He has very bad normal moves.
His customs are pretty bad too.
Yeah, it's like his customs like aren't bad, so to say, but they definitely are not good. Especially compared to Mii Gunner and Mii Brawler, he definitely just does not have that.
If you want to play a sword character, why are you playing Mii Sword Fighter?
Out of anyone in the fucking game, this is Smash Ultimate. There are like 20 sword fighters, dude. Come on now. The next character we have, and one I think will actually spark a bit of discussion because I do think this guy has a fan base, is Lucas.
Yeah.
Lucas is dog shit in this game.
I remember D Wills 1998 in particular thinks that Lucas is an A tier character.
And like again, like maybe you could argue Lucas just does not have there's not a lot of Lucas players out there, but I think it should also give you an example of how Lucas is if there's no fucking Lucas players out there.
I think people don't play Lucas for a reason.
Yeah, and I think we all know the reason. Because he's dog. He's dog. The only thing that keeps him, honestly, from like the bottom of D tier and maybe even E tier is just the fact that he has some similarities to Ness.
He has a good recovery. He has good throws because they actually kill, and he has some combo tools and a decent projectile. That's it. I mean,
but the thing is, like,
they're all just decent.
Why do this? If you want to play a character like Lucas, why do this when you can play Ness? Just saying.
Yeah, or you could play Sora.
Like any other floaty character in the game is way better than this.
Play Jigglypuff.
Speaking about Puffs and things looking similar to Puff, the next character we have is Kirby. And Kirby
Yes.
just doesn't get any shine in any of these games.
Kirby has to try so hard to play the game at all, because Kirby just loses to camping, and camping is like what everyone does in this game at a competitive level.
Yeah, and Kirby has like no range tools unless you suck someone up, and their neutral B has some range. Very predictable recovery. You play anyone with counters, you basically counter Kirby's recovery in general, because she has one of, or he, I think it's a he, has one of those general recoveries. And then honestly, that's really just it. I mean, their normals are pretty okay.
I mean, what keeps Kirby from low tier though is that Kirby has like a lot of cheese that if you can hit it, then Kirby looks like a good character.
If you hit your cheese and your cheese is like consistent, like Kirby could probably be like maybe like bottom B tier, like it looks like. But like honestly, just compare the fact that this is one, it's ultimate, and two, like he's just so limited at all of his options. Yeah, he's going in D tier, and the last character that's gonna be in D tier. And honestly, I'm kind of reconsidering idea. I think I might honestly just do C and B tier in this video, and then just do the last part being the top tier, because this is gonna be so small.
Yeah, probably.
We're going to be putting Piranha Plant. There's only one reason why Piranha Plant is in the top of D tier.
Because Piranha Plant has a really good projectile and a really good recovery.
Piranha Plant's neutral B and his recovery is actually pretty good. His neutral B is actually like, he's a saving grace, because everything else sucks with this character. And remember back at the beginning of the game,
Plant Gang,
when Plant Gang was a thing. Yeah, look how Plant Gang has fared. Plant Gang has not seen the light of day since the launch of Smash Ultimate. And I
actually played a Plant at a tournament. I 2-0'd them with Ganondorf.
just had to throw that in there. All right. So as you can tell, folks, this is actually going to be the end of the low tier. We're actually going to move to the B tier and the C tier, so the mid tier of this video. If you want to gauge, or at least I'm probably going to talk about in the intro, this is the tier where basically you can arguably secondary them. How we're going to do this tier list is like D and E. There's no way you're going to win a major with any of these characters in your arsenal. B and
you shouldn't
C,
play them at all.
You shouldn't play them at all. The B and C tier, arguably you can secondary, and then the A and S tier, you can solo majors with them. Mainly the S tier you can solo majors with them, but you can, if you put the work into the A tier, you can solo majors.
I think A tier you just need, with the A tier you can do it, but you need like a special bracket. Yeah. You need like a lucky bracket.
You need a lucky bracket, and you also need to be good on your character. But for C tier, the secondary tier, if we're gonna be talking about the characters you could probably secondary, and the first character that actually kind of bumped up a bit for me in the overall like respect category. He actually fared pretty well in this recent patch, so you can probably tell he actually got buffed. It's gonna be Dr. Mario. Dr. Mario normally would probably go in like E tier, and most people might even consider putting him in E tier. But hear me out on this. But with the recent patch that's actually come out, the patch with Sora, Dr. Mario actually got a lot more options. He has a lot more kill options and a lot more ways to actually inflict his damage more reliably. Because the whole identity when it comes to Dr. Mario, especially compared to Mario, is that he's basically Mario with just Ganondorf kill power and just lacks in like everything else.
He just
Mario
lacks in recovery, but if Dr. Mario had a good recovery, he'd be like a B tier character.
Yeah.
Like high B tier. Maybe top B tier if he had a good recovery.
And with this in mind, he has they basically are trying to double down on what Dr. Mario's identity to make him more of an offensive character, more of a character that's going to just go in your face and do your combo and kill you at a pretty like early percentage. And if he doesn't, he's kind of boned. But I actually do think that he fares a bit better now, especially if you're actually good at consistently landing Dr. Mario's kill confirms. You actually might see some decent results if you don't go against the top tiers. But other than that, I actually do think Dr. Mario did get pretty decent this patch. Still not great. He's still in like C tier, but better than like E tier. The next character who's going to be in the C tier is going to be Robin.
Robin's just a character that has the ability to play really lame. and has a really good recovery.
And that's the big reason why he's actually not lower in anything else, because of the fact that this is ultimate, so playing lame and playing zoner is actually pretty good. But the big thing that limits him and why he's still in C tier is the fact that he loses those capabilities, which I don't know why they designed him like that. I don't understand why he loses his projectiles and potentially loses his recovery option.
True. If you overuse your B moves, you just lose them.
And it's a really bad decision, honestly. And this is a zoner game, guys. Like, if you want to play a zoner, why would you play Robin? Like, unless you just like the character.
Yeah, anyone but Robin.
Anyone but Robin.
There are a lot of zoners better than Robin.
The next character who's going to be making it into the C tier is a character that actually kind of bumped up on my radar, and I do kind of have a bit more respect for. Is going to be Lucario. My big gripe with Lucario and why I'm only putting him in the C tier, even though I am starting to respect him a bit more, is the fact that he is a character reliant on Rage and Aura. If you don't know how Rage and Aura are gained, it's gained from taking a higher amount of percentage. I think the max amount of Aura you can have is at 100%, and I think fundamentally...
Max Aura is like 150, I think.
150, around there, like around like the 100 range, and that's bad. That is a really bad design, and especially for a character like Lucario. There's another character who does have this mechanic similarly we will get to at some point.
Lucario is like a low tier. Lucario is probably the worst character in the game without Aura, but with Aura and Rage, Lucario is probably like one of the best characters in the game.
Yeah, you could argue he's like high A to low S when he's at like max Rage and Aura, but the thing is, you have to reach that threshold, and it's a very risky threshold to hold, especially in someone like Lucario. There are going to be characters in this game who are going to kill you earlier than you could get to your max aura. So it's not really wise to like and the thing about Smash is it's not really wise to like actually get hit. So I wouldn't really recommend picking Lucario unless you just really love the character.
I mean, Lucario's OP in doubles though.
He is OP in doubles. Yeah. Ray has played doubles before. The next character that's going to be going in C tier is going to be Ridley. The big thing is just his hurt box. That's the big thing that limits Ridley.
Ridley's just too big.
He just has a huge hitbox. Some of his tools are actually pretty decent. His neutral B is pretty decent. He actually has a pretty decent grab, and his recovery is not horrible.
His side B is really good.
Yeah, his side B is really good. But other than that, just the big thing that limits him is the fact that he's a big body. And big bodies, like, historically...
He's super big and light.
Yeah, and that's a big thing. He's a super big hitbox and he's super light. He's
not super light. He's like super light for how big he is.
Yeah, for like having as big of a hurtbox as he does, he should not be as light as he is, and for how big he is, honestly. But other than that, he actually has pretty decent options. Again, side B is actually a pretty good move. But other than that, yeah, that's like literally the big reason. He just has a big body and is really light. The next character who's going to be going next to him is another big body, going by King DDD. Gimmick character. Very gimmicky.
He's definitely just a huge gimmick character. He's really floaty. He's really heavy. He can play super lame. He's very annoying to fight if you play against a very good King DDD player.
But there's not really a lot of those King DDD players because, I mean, in a game like this, there are characters. There's another big body character who actually coming in later in the same tier who you could actually argue can play lame and is just better than King DDD. Again, really floaty. Again, has the fundamental problems of having a big, heavy body and that just being that it's really easy to combo them. Other than that, again, good King DDDs that can work around the issues with him. Can make DDD look pretty decent, but there's not a lot of them out there, so in turn, you're not really going to see King DDD buff get bumped up too many slots. Next character that's going to be showing up in the C tier is going to be Bowser Jr. Bowser Jr., I've actually seen some people play him recently.
Some people are good with Bowser Jr.
Yeah, they're kind of in a similar boat to me for like King DDD, where if you actually learn Bowser Jr., you actually dedicate your time to playing Bowser Jr., you can actually make them into a pretty decent character.
He has a good combo game, and he has discount minecart. Because because it can only be used as a movement option
Yeah.
and a hitbox.
Yeah, and like he has some options, and again, Bowser Jr. is a character that can play lame, so that does play to his capabilities.
He has decent projectile game.
Yeah, decent projectile game, but again, there are just characters that just play his role better. That's the thing with a lot of the C tier characters. They're like decent. If Smash Ultimate didn't have this many crap characters,
they're good. They're good characters. It's just like I think it's still why you playing this character though.
Yeah, if there's just other options that are just sometimes even easier and just better. Like, unless it's just dedication to the character. So like, don't feel discouraged if like your favorite characters in this tier, because
just consider picking up a better character.
Yeah, and there's a character who I know a lot of people love that's coming next, who's is gonna be King K. Rool. Remember back in the early days when people thought King K. Rool was like top tier.
Yeah, back when the game first released, King K. Rool was one of the best characters in the game because he was a big body with a really good projectile, decent combo game, and a really good recovery.
And armor. And a counter.
And a counter.
Like, he has a lot of stuff, and when you say that kind of things, it makes it seem like King K. Rool's pretty good, and then you remember he's a big body. And it's just, wow. There's only, like, I actually think, like, there's only one character we have that, maybe there's, like, a couple. But, like, yeah, the big thing that limits King K. Rool is just it's incredibly easy to combo him. It's the same case as Ridley and DDD, only K. Rool actually has really good options when it comes to playing lame. He probably, out of a majority of the heavies in the game, actually probably has some of the best projectile game when it comes to the heavies specifically.
Yeah, one of the best probably.
And his down smash, his armored attacks are pretty annoying to play against. But again, there are just characters that just do his job better. There are other characters with armor who actually are way better than King K. Rool. He's not bad though. Again, these characters are not bad. And another set of characters who the mains probably make them look godlike is the next character coming up, and that's going to be the Belmonts, Simon and Richter. Simon and Richter can be really oppressive. If placed in the right area and you know how to arc your axes, you know where to throw your projectiles, the Belmonts can look incredibly oppressive.
But that's an advantage state.
And you have to fight.
Disadvantage state is
you have to
terrible.
fight for that. It is an uphill battle to get to that advantage state.
Because he's basically just Little Mac, with projectiles rather than like strong attacks.
And arguably, he might have a worse recovery than Little Mac. It's actually arguable the Belmonts actually have some worse, like the worst recovery in the game. Again, in the advantage state, if they were constantly in the advantage state, they'd be like A tier. But the fact is, you have to get to that advantage state to them to actually look good. And especially compared to some other characters, especially with stuff like maybe Reflect, there are characters that are going to counteract his zoning, and there are just characters where it's easier to set up your zoning compared to him. You do have to learn how the Belmonts throw their axes, where's the right area to do your down B. There's a lot you got to learn with the Belmonts, and like if you're dedicated to the character, again, it's like you're having fun with them, I guess, learn them. But if you just strictly want a zoner, there's just other options there that are better.
He's a good secondary if you like Castlevania.
Yeah.
But if you just want to pick up a zoner, there are much better options.
Again, the C and B tier, these are like more secondary options. You can't solo majors with them, but you can secondary them. It's viable to secondary a majority of them. The second to last character we're going to talk about is going into C tier is going to be Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong, again, the big thing is with big bodies, it's really easy to combo Donkey Kong, but Donkey Kong actually has some pretty good options.
Yeah, Donkey Kong has a really good combo game. Especially his grab game is really good.
Great grab game. Actually has a pretty good dash attack. Super Monkey Ball.
Yeah. Very good dash attack.
Really good at armor breaking sometimes. Like, pretty good armor breaking moves. The only issue is just he gets hard countered by the meta of the game and the fact that he's a big body. He doesn't have any range, like, projectiles at all, but when he's in an advantage state, Donkey Kong looks almost unstoppable. It's in a very similar case to Richter and Simon, where if Donkey Kong's in the advantage state, he looks godlike. But the issue is getting to that advantage state. And the last character, and probably the hottest take we might have when it comes to the C tier. Like so
So
far,
far,
trust me,
yes.
we got more coming. It's gonna be Little Mac. The main reason we say this is because of the actual player base of Little Mac. The thing is, everyone knows the issues with Little Mac. He has very bad aerials, has almost no recovery, like some of the worst recovery we've seen in Smash history. And the big issue that a lot of people always say is Little Mac's ground game is pretty good, but there's just characters with better ground game. However, if you've been watching recently, if you've been looking at Little Mac players in tournaments and you've been seeing them on streams, they make this character work. They can even recover with this character. They have been
Yeah.
making Little Mac work. They have interesting combos. There's like a new one that just got discovered with the patch that buffed Little Mac, the same patch that buffed Dr. Mario.
The one that really gets me though is that Little Mac players found out how to recover from like places that we did not think they could before.
Yeah, that's the thing. Little Mac, surprisingly, I would say like casually, no, he doesn't have that much of a skill cap, but at a competitive level, Little Mac actually has a pretty decently high skill ceiling, simply because you just have to fight against all of his weaknesses. But when you actually learn how to play Little Mac, he actually looks pretty good. And I feel like if more stuff gets discovered with Little Mac and there's more ways to like actually utilize his character the best, who knows? I might actually bump him up to B tier if he actually gets that many new tools.
I don't think so, unless there's a surprise patch
Yeah,
that
but
buffs characters.
we gotta see. But for now, he's actually the top of C tier because he actually has pretty good options, and a lot of people are really showing how good this character can be if time and dedication is put into the character. And then the last tier we're going to be talking about for this part of the tier list video, and the tier it's probably going to take the longest to discuss, is going to be the B tier. Of course, like I said, C, B tier, these are characters you can secondary. Not a lot of these characters are bad. There's actually a threshold where you can actually gauge and debate if you want some of these characters to go up to A tier. We'll discuss that. But for the lowest character in B tier, and the first one we're going to discuss is going to be Duck Hunt.
Duck Hunt's just a basic zoner that has like really good projectiles, really annoying to play against, good recovery.
I think the big thing with Duck Hunt is it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort to actually learn Duck Hunt's stuff.
Yeah, we have seen good Duck Hunt players get far at majors, but like the time dedicated to doing that compared to like characters above Duck Hunt is just like a.
It's not. I wouldn't say it's like terrible, but it's definitely not as worthwhile and as viable. Especially if you want to play a zoner. Again, there are a lot of zoners in this game. This is Smash Ultimate. It's zoner's paradise. His projectiles aren't bad. And again, people can make him look good. It's just Duck Hunt just doesn't have as much. Again, it's like there's just so many cracked characters in this game that like these characters who are still good. They just do not pale in comparison to some of them.
If we're just talking about good characters, every character in the game can be considered good, but since there's so many good characters,
yeah,
you actually have to just
such an abundance.
Some characters just have to take that L.
And a character who I actually think is decently underrated, but I will admit is very inconsistent, is our next pick. That's gonna be Marth.
I just think Marth is just it's a coin flip because he's overpowered if you can kill your opponent early with tippers, but if not, you're killing your opponent at like 150, 200%. It's not good.
And like before this, like if this was like before Lucina came out, you could say like, oh, Marth actually has pretty decent moves. But now with Lucina being literally just Marth without having that inconsistency, like why would you pick Marth at this rate?
Unless Lucina's literally just consistent Marth.
Yeah, it's literally just a consistent Marth, and you'll see the difference in them because of the tipper mechanic. And like you can't argue with this when it comes to like Roy's, because Roy's tip is way easier to hit since you just literally gotta be in their face. You have to be really good at spacing with Marth to actually consistently hit the tipper. Yeah, they did increase the range of it recently, like in the I think in the patch when they patched Kazuya, they actually like fucked around with the tippers, but it's not enough to like really buff him too much. Like it's just really inconsistent. If Marth was more consistent with his tippers, or if you were good with your tippers, you could maybe argue he's like higher in B tier. But it's just the fact that it's a coin flip. It's basically a 50-50 on basically if you're going to be able to kill early with Marth, if you're going to be killing abhorrently late with Marth. The next character is going to be coming up, and a character who I kind of wish was a bit better in this game because I've been waiting for their release. It's going to be Banjo and Kazooie. Banjo's not bad.
Banjo being a mid character really disappointed a lot of people because they've been waiting for this character for like their entire lives to be in Smash.
Since like Brawl, not even since Brawl. Honestly, since like Melee, like people, people have been wanting like, Banjo.
Everyone wanted Banjo to be a good character, but they just saw that Banjo was just a basic, boring zoner character, and all the Banjo fans just went away like all the Plant Gang.
With very mid options. And there are like some things that make Banjo like seem pretty good. Wonder Wing is one of the best like side Bs in the entire game, it feels like sometimes.
I feel like because people because the meta developed so much now that people barely ever get hit by Wonder Wing because they know it's gonna happen.
And especially with the release of Sora, the fact that he literally can counter Wonder Wing completely for some reason. And also, like, it's really weird that we say this. Because, like, Banjo's a character who, like, when you look at a tier list and when you think in general he's not that scary, but Banjo players can actually be pretty scary. Like, I'm not excited when I have to go against a Banjo. Like, at all.
Yeah, I'm not excited either. I hate Banjo players.
And when it comes to, like, the fact he has, like, the stomping mechanic that, characters like K. Rool have, Zero Suit Samus has, like, the grounded mechanic. Again, Banjo's not bad, but in this game, he's just, like, the mid-zoner character. Just, like, mid. He doesn't really have anything too great going on. Honestly, a bit more negatives than positives. But still, he's alright. Especially in a game like this, where you can actually we can afford playing lame, because it is the meta playstyle. The next character, who is going to be coming up, and a character that I actually am also a bit disappointed in him being as low as he is, in my opinion, in this game, is going to be Ryu from Streets.
Ryu's definitely the worst character from fighting games in Smash.
And especially since the fact that Ken's in this game, Ken basically just replaced Ryu, all things considered. Like, if you really wanted to play, like, a Shoto-style character, I mean, if you loved Ryu that much, it's kind of in a similar boat, I like to think, about Ryu and Ken's design as, like, kind of being like Mario and Dr. Mario, where they made Ryu more about the powerhouse, more about, like, having more kill power and, like, not having as many resources.
Ken's a combo character.
Yeah, Ken's more of a combo character. Ryu is more of like the single hit, but it's going to do a decent chunk of damage. And I just think for a game like this, it's not really that valuable. It does have some kill confirms, and again, if you do learn like true inputs for like Shoryuken, so like down tilt, I think in the Shoryuken actually does kill pretty reliably sometimes. It's just why do that?
Why do that when you could just learn inputs and true combos on Terry, Ken or Kazuya, and you get much more.
You get much more off of it. Again, Ryu's kind of the granddaddy of the input characters. He's the first input character to be added to Smash. He was in Smash 4, if you didn't know. But yeah, I think he definitely fell off a bit in this game simply because
he definitely fell off. Because in Smash 4, he was like probably a top tier.
He was like top 10 of all the characters, arguably. Maybe even top 5. Like if it really did depend on how well you learned Ryu, because Ryu was actually decently hard in 4. But like now, just because the abundance of the Shotos in this game, and I think they did kind of nerf a little bit of Ryu from Smash 4 to Smash Ultimate, there's not really too much of a reason to pick him unless you just really like Ryu as a character. The next character we're going to be talking about is, I think, another staple of Smash 4, and a character I think was decently tiered in Smash 4. It's going to be Villager.
He was borderline S in Smash 4.
Like, Villager is actually pretty good. The thing about Villager is he's in a very similar boat to a majority of the zoners in this game, and the fact that this is Ultimate, so he does benefit from the fact that he is essentially just designed to be a zoner.
I don't think Villager got much worse from Smash 4. It's just that everyone else got better.
That's the thing, and that's what I was going to point out. Villager just didn't change.
He's like the same.
He essentially is the same. They didn't really buff anything with him. They didn't really nerf anything with him. And while he was S tier in that game, this game, because just the overall amount of crazy changes that happen to some of the characters and just how many crazy characters are in this game, he kind of just fell to the wayside. If you're still if you're dedicated villager since like Smash 4, he's not a bad pick. Again, good secondary and has good zoning capabilities. It's just again, it's gonna be a running theme, but like, there's not really too much of a reason to pick this character solely because
Villager is definitely a threat, but I wouldn't recommend playing him because there are much better characters that do the same things.
Yeah, that's like the big issue with the majority of people that are not like in upper B to A tier. It's just a lot of characters that do what they do, but better. And the next character is another zoner character. And a character that, again, I did not expect these characters to even be put in tier lists, but they're actually pretty decent. Mii Gunner. The second best of the Miis. Mii Gunner actually has some pretty good options. Pretty good special moves, all things considered. The only thing that does kind of suck about Mii Gunner is the normal attacks, like forward tilt and stuff. They're not, like, too superb. But
I mean, the forward air is really good because you can use it as a movement option.
You use forward air, up air is pretty good. Some of the smash attacks, like forward smash, is actually pretty good.
The customs are kind of mid though.
The customs are kind of mid. They're definitely better than Sword Fighter, no doubt in my mind. And Mii Gunner has more potential than Sword Fighter, but yeah, I mean, again, zoner character. Why pick them if there's better zoners if you just care about competitive viability? And the next one is another zoner character, that being Samus. Probably one of the easiest zoner characters, if I'm being honest. Like, it's not really that hard to zone on Samus.
I mean, Samus's kit is the basic zoner kit.
Yeah, but it's actually decently effective. Really powerful. The rockets are actually pretty disruptive. Of course, you got the charge shot, which can do pretty crazy damage.
And her down B is very underrated.
Yeah. She did kind of get nerfed from Smash 4, because didn't they nerf her down B recovery from Ultimate, or from Smash 4 to Ultimate?
I don't know.
Like, I think she used to have a bit of a better down B recovery from Smash 4 to Ultimate, and
Maybe.
some people were complaining about that. But, again, decent zoner, and actually some pretty decent neutral moves. I think, doesn't she have a decently sized hitbox?
I think so.
Because, like, her armor. That's, like, something that kind of limits her. She does have, like, a pretty huge hitbox.
I know Samus has good moves.
And has pretty good neutral moves. Pretty all-round. Like, all-round pick reliable, but just, I just don't think you can really win a major with Samus by herself. You could run her as, like, secondary, but I don't think you can run a major with them. And the next character, and probably the character, I think, in this game that had the biggest fall from grace, is going to be Pichu. Went from, like, top 3 to, like...
Pichu was actually just top 3 in the game.
To this
because
tier.
Very small character, really, like, amazing projectile, amazing combo game. But then, when you have all that stuff, you will get nerfed.
And it was a tirade of nerfs.
It was a tirade of nerfs.
It was a lot of nerfs.
Bigger hitbox. There's a more damage to himself with electric moves. They took away like half of Pichu's like kill combos because of how badly like they nerfed Pichu's overall kit. You have to try so hard to kill with Pichu and play the character because it's like you're just like playing in a minefield because you could just die at any time. But you have to like take so much risk to kill.
You can be really explosive with Pichu, but there's just so much of a risk now. And that kind of sucks. It kind of sucks. They like Pichu might honestly be one of the hardest nerf Smash characters I've seen in a very long time. Like they nerf Pichu incredibly hard, especially compared to some of the other characters who have barely received any changes from Ultimate's lifetime. It's really weird to see how Pichu got treated this game. And a character, an interesting fact, this is my favorite out of the 3 versions of this character, who is not that great in this game, is a Toon Link.
Toon Link is good, just not that good.
He has good tools.
He has good tools. He just camps. He has good neutral moves, but like none of them are really special.
He shares a lot with the other links, but just the other links just have better version of those moves. Especially like Young Link has the better arrows. I would argue this Link has just the
I
better
mean,
bomb.
Young Link is faster, has better neutrals, has better arrows and projectiles.
And Young Link can kill.
And
Like,
Young Link can kill. And
it,
Link is just really, really strong.
yeah, Toon
Like, he
Link.
kills super. If you just want to kill, play Link. But
Yeah.
like,
Link has the best raw power out of them, but Toon Link, very like small, he does have like decent combo game because of like how little knockback and little damage his moves actually do. And again, like he doesn't have bad options. He shares like the specials with the other links, so like he has the boomerang, has the pretty good up B, some bombs, the arrows. It's not bad. It's just especially compared to the other links, Toon Link just feels like he's lacking.
I think that the stereotype is if you play Toon Link, you're just gonna camp out your opponent. And I feel like in this game, because of what the other links do, that's probably true.
Yeah. I think like the only difference I think I know like by heart that Toon Link has is like his down B like sends him downwards, while like the other ones they kind of like keep them afloat, I guess. Like he kind of goes like straight down when he does his down air, which isn't really like that. I don't really like moves like that, but it's something. I don't know. He just compared to like how they changed Young Link in this game, Toon Link just didn't get too many changes, and that definitely did limit how good he could be, because he was actually pretty decent in 4. Especially during the later half, people started realizing Toon Link actually did have some potential.
In four, Toon Link was a great secondary,
Yeah,
and
like,
he still kind of is. Just like not that good.
not as prominent as he was in 4 as a secondary. And another character who, in a very similar, the next character is one who can look good in the right hands, and if you learn them, but just has a glaring issue, is Meta Knight. The glaring issue is that he has no kill power.
Yeah, Meta Knight's core issue is that Meta Knight has to commit to like literally everything that they try to do. But like committing to those things to Meta Knight is a struggle because you don't know if it's gonna work or if it's gonna kill because of how inconsistent the kid is and how inconsistent your kill power is.
That's a big thing that does likes with Meta Knight. Because Meta Knight, again, he has good tools. Like, really good combo game. Especially if you have the dash attack. His dash attack's really good for setting up combos. But, he just doesn't really, like, have that oomph to a lot of his moves. It's really hard to actually kill on Meta Knight sometimes, unless you know Meta Knight.
It's like the same kit from Brawl and Smash 4. So, like, the kill moves are there. Like, the combos are there. You just can't kill.
Yeah, and especially in a game like this where there are characters who can kill really easily, it's a lot of effort to actually make Meta Knight work. And now we get to a character who is going to be an insane hot take. This is going to be a crazy hot take, but we are going to have next in front of Meta Knight, Incineroar. Hear us out. Incineroar, the big thing that limits Incineroar is the fact that he is a character that is completely countered by zoning. And in a game like Ultimate, it's detrimental if you are countered by zoning.
It's not too bad because for the first couple projectiles, you could actually just use Incineroar's counter and like absorb them.
Yeah, you can use Revenge. It's not too bad, but like again, like the whole thing is like he gets countered. He's one of the slowest like movement characters in the entire game. But
that's probably Revenge is probably one of the biggest reasons why he's up here though.
But the thing is, what his advantage state is what carries him. Because if Incineroar is in his advantage state, he could be like an S tier character. Like the amount of damage output he has and how many good moves he has.
The damage output he has with Revenge and with just side B in general.
Side B and then side B
with Revenge is broken.
That can kill at like 30% on a majority of characters. Like it does a lot of damage. And I think another thing that kind of limits him is his recovery. He has a very questionable recovery. I don't think it's horrid, but it's very questionable.
Kind of horrid.
It's just it's again, it's just he's in a very similar boat to someone like, let's say, Lucario, where in their advantage state, they're actually really good. It's just such a struggle to get to the advantage state, but I would honestly argue it's easier to reach Incineroar's advantage state, and in some instances, it actually is a little bit more rewarding because of just how honestly easy it is to kill with Incineroar. You could, like, if you have Revenge and you, like, back throw at the edge of a stage, you can kill at, like, very, like, earlier percentages than you may think. Because I'm pretty sure Revenge affects throws, too. It's mainly just Revenge, honestly. Revenge is what carries Incineroar all the way up here. And a character who, we had a lot of debate on, actually. We were really debating where we're going to put these characters, because a lot goes into them. It's going to be Ices. Ices is such a weird character to talk about, just because of the overall potential.
Ices is just the potential character. Like, Ices is probably the hardest character in the game. Because of how tight your combos are, and how you have to control two people. And how your control... And how, like, having both people is, like, essential. Because you can't have Ices without, like... Ices without Nana or Popo, depending on which ult you're using, is just the worst character in the game. Like, you can't, like... I've seen Ices stocks where, like, they, like, 0 to 100% their opponent in, like, 3 seconds. But then their opponent gets rid of Nana/Popo because it's very easy, and then 0 deaths the solo climber.
Yeah. And a big thing with Ices is you have to be really consistent on them. Consistency is key to actually utilizing this character incredibly well. And just a lot has to go into factors. If Ices, like, if you were consistently playing Ices, dead ass, they'd probably be, like, top 5. If you were consistent with Ices, just because of the raw amount of potential.
There has never been a consistent Ices player, though.
Especially in Ultimate. It's just almost impossible to play this character at the max, at the way you probably want to, at their overall peak. It's just so hard, and it's such an uphill battle, and it never happens in whole hard.
Because not only do you have to land your really, really precise combos, you also have to protect your other climber while doing it.
Because it's really easy for that other climber to die. It is actually really easy to counter ice climbers when you just literally just remove one of them and then they're just severely nerfed. The next character who's going to be coming up into the B tier is going to be Zelda. The big reason why Zelda's up here is the fact that she actually has really good zoning. Really good zoning character.
Zelda has good zoning, good neutral tools, or really good recovery. That can be used to combo into itself.
Yeah, it's not a bad recovery at all. And I think this is actually probably like one of the best iterations we've seen of Zelda, I think, like in the entire Smash series. Like, she's actually really, like, decently strong in this game.
Probably one of the best, or if not the best.
Yeah, it's definitely up there for one of her better iterations. It's just, again, her, like, it's not that she has bad tools by any means, but there are other zoners. Like, for example, if you want, like, an up B that's, like, a warp, why do that when you can play someone like Palutena? Like, I understand the damages, but, like, Palutena, it's just Palutena. And she, again, like, has good, very good projectiles. Very good at playing the neutral game. And is a pretty good secondary, especially if you want to, like, secondary as zoner. Like, good secondary, but I think overall, just because of her weaknesses, and just, like, honestly, it's not that hard to really, like, counter Zelda, all things considered. She's a good secondary, but, like, she can't solo a major.
Yeah.
And then the next character, who I've actually seen a lot of debate on for this character. I've seen people put this next character in, like, A tier. I've seen them put him in C tier sometimes. It's gonna be Luigi. The big thing with Luigi is if you can get the grab.
Yeah, Luigi's, like, entire game depends on him landing a grab.
He is such a 1-0 character, because if he lands that grab, you're either at a high percentage or you're just flat out dead.
But if he can't land the grab, then he can't play the game.
It's just like, if he lands the grab, dude, he's like top like 3. But if he's like can't land the grab, he's like E, because there's like almost no tools he has to combat that. especially in this game. In Smash 4, he actually had pretty good tools to combat that. Like, he was actually fucking crazy in Smash 4. But in this game, especially because they just made it he's so reliant on his grab game in this game, like, game specifically. I think he did have, like, a good grab game in 4. But this game specifically, especially with the tether grab, he's just such a one-note character.
I think if he didn't have the tether grab in this game, he actually would be, like, low tier.
Yeah, if he didn't have the tether grab, he'd
Like,
be like...
if he had the same combos without, like, a tether grab, he'd be, like, low... He'd legitimately be low tier.
He'd be, like, bottom C to, like, high D if he didn't have tether. But just because the fact that he has tether, and that's so valuable to, like, his overall game plan, that's what lands him here. And again, like, you can make the argument, like, I think a lot of people really just value his 0-to-death combos, I think, a bit too highly. Yeah, he has a 0-to-death combo, but if he doesn't land that grab, he's almost essentially useless. And I think a big thing is just how bad his recovery is. Luigi has a really poor recovery. It's really easy to counteract what he does. Yeah, he's just very limited in a lot of his stuff, and Nintendo really doubled down on the fact that they just want him to be a grab character that can just 0-to-death your lineup in just one move, like one quick swift motion essentially. And then the next character, and a character when we were making this tier list that we actually forgot to place at first, is Rosalina and Luma.
Yeah.
The thing is, Rosalina and Luma is, like, in a very similar boat to, like, Villager, where they didn't really change too much since, like, Smash 4. They didn't, like, alter Luma and Rosalina too much, but that's also to their detriment because they can't really keep up with some of the crazy aspects of this game.
Yeah, Rosalina was probably top 5 in Smash 4. But since there's so many, like, cracked out characters in this game, and Rosalina just stayed the same basically, Rosalina just fell down the tier list.
Yeah, severely. And again, like, she's not bad. Again, she's very similar to her Smash 4 iteration, so a lot of people who played Rosalina in Smash 4, it's probably decently easy to pick her up because she didn't really change too much. She just, it's just not enough, I don't think. It's just not enough to really bump her up another tier, to like, really value her that much. She's not bad. Good secondary, again. A good secondary option, but just... It's just some of those negatives.
Yeah.
Just some of those negatives.
It's like a better Ice Climbers, though. Cause
yeah.
It's easier to control Luma, and you can still combo with Luma.
And they did just recently buff Luma, too. They did buff Luma, actually. Like, one of the recent patches. So, not a bad character. Could be a bit better. And now we get to the point where I think the more the characters in the B tier after these two are going to be a bit more positive, because we have who I consider the baseline of the entire game. We have the Pits. Honestly, I would say Dark Pit is better than Pit because of his overall kill power, but they really share a lot of the same properties. The big thing about the Pits is just they are so middle of the road. There's nothing too great about them, but there's nothing too bad about them. They're literally just
they're
average.
the most honest characters in the game. They do not have much, if any, cheese at all.
To be successful on these characters, it's literally just a test of your fundamentals. And that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, they are just fundamental characters, but that's not bad.
It's not a bad thing by any means necessary, because they're just a reliable character. They're not gonna have like anything that's really going to cheese out. It's just really just if you play better. It's just just the reason why there are characters that are higher than them is just because they have like just better cheese. Honestly,
like if you're a good player and you play the Pits, you'll do good.
Yeah. It's just a test of fundamentals. They're a very good middle-of-the-road character, because everybody else after this, we're going to be talking a bit more positively on, because they just have a bit more of a positive aspect, because these guys are just the baseline. And the first character that's going to start off this is going to be Mewtwo. Mewtwo would be so good if his hurt box just wasn't so jank.
Yeah, Mewtwo has really good combo tools, very good projectile, amazing recovery, like... can deflect projectiles. Mewtwo has everything except like the fact that Mewtwo has such a huge hurt box.
He has such a huge hurt box, and he kind of suffers through the same thing as Ridley, where he has a huge hurt box and he just does not have that, like, he's like a very lighter character. He's a floaty character. So it's actually really easy to knock him down a peg or two and like kill him off of like a few hits just because of how floaty he is and how big his hurt box is. But unlike Ridley, I think the big thing that's really helping out Mewtwo is just his overall combo game. The fact that he has an outstanding recovery. Mewtwo really does great at like everything else. It's just the fact that his hurt box is so massive is what severely nerfs him.
Yeah.
And then the
His
next
entire tail is the hurt box.
Entire tail. That's just so weird to me. I understand why it is, but like it's just wow. The next character, and another character that follows a lot of the other characters that come from Smash 4, an iteration where Smash 4's version of this character was way better, only this time he actually did get nerfed. It's Cloud. Why play Cloud in this game if Sephiroth's a thing? I think that's the biggest question.
Cloud's still a good character because he has good neutrals. He has really strong combo game and kill power. He still has a decent projectile.
And limit break.
Still has like limit break, but now it like expires after 15 seconds. So like unlike in Smash 4 where it lasted forever, you could literally just camp out limit.
Yeah. And again, there's not a lot that changed. They did like nerf Cloud a bit in this game compared to Smash 4. Like in Smash 4, he was like top 5 like characters in the game. Like he was crazy in Smash 4. But now I think the big thing is just they nerfed him, and not only that, there's just other characters like Sephiroth that just do his job but better. Like, and if you're like a Final Fantasy stan and you like Cloud, okay, why play Cloud if you can play Sephiroth?
Final Fantasy stans should play Sephiroth.
Yeah. We'll get to Sephiroth at some point. The next character, and actually a character I love his personality for, and I was really happy to see included in the game, but I fucking hate because of how annoying people can be on him, is going to be Terry. The next Shoto to talk about. Remember when I was talking about Lucario, and I was talking about his overall power deficit and the fact that he needs a high percentage? Well, Terry is the other character with that mechanic.
Yes.
And I think his power deficit, it's a bit more rewarding than Lucario's because Terry is a decently heavy character.
Power Geyser's one of the most broken moves in the game.
Just look at the hitbox, and then you could just tell Power Geyser is just that ridiculous of a move.
And you could true combo into it too.
Yeah, and honestly, his like actual inputs, they're not hard to do. Terry's inputs are not hard at all. It's just the fact that like, I really do not like it when characters have to get hit for their power spike. It really just makes it like a coin flip for you to actually get their full potential and like their actual like state where they are going to be a very harsh threat.
But unlike Lucario though, Terry actually has like a decent neutral game without that kill power.
Yeah, Terry has a very good neutral game. What's that move? His neutral B is actually pretty good. The little projectile he throws, and he actually has pretty good normal attacks. And again, a big thing is that he's heavy. He's gonna benefit a lot more and be more reliable with the fact that he can get his Power Geyser and Buster Wolf because of the fact that he's a heavy, so he's not gonna like die after the first hit after it. So he is more reliable in that aspect, but again, I just don't really think having that type of mechanics really beneficial to you. And he is a Shoto character, and we'll explain why the Shotos are not as high in this list. The next character who's going to be showing up is going to be Ike, the guy who fights for his friends. Ike's pretty alright in this game. He was actually pretty good at the release of Ultimate. Very, very meta and very well-rounded. But after they changed his neutral air, and like a lot of people kind of learned how to counter Ike, he's kind of just he's a good secondary pick. But like,
yeah, he's a really explosive secondary pick.
But you can't really like solo him in a major. You can't just continuously use him.
I think the only reason for that is because he has such a terrible recovery.
Yeah, his recovery is what mainly limits him. It's very predictable to counter Ike's recovery, even with how explosive he is. And like, if this was the Ike before with like his neutral air being as good as he was, he would definitely be higher, potentially like lower A tier. But it's just the fact that he's really predictable in how he's gonna get off stage. If he's on stage, he's gonna be really explosive. He's gonna be very good at that state. But when he goes off stage,
I'd say even his advantage state's really predictable because you're just gonna go for like forward airs and nairs. It's just really good.
Yeah, he just has really good forward airs and nairs. It's just really easy to predict this character, and when he's off stage, it's incredibly hard for him to actually fight back. Then the next character that's going to be coming up is going to be another Shoto, and in my opinion, the best out of the Shotos so far, Ken. Let's talk about Ken for a bit. So Ken is essentially just Ryu, but just with more combo-y based. A lot of multi-hitting moves and a lot of ways to actually convert his hits into more hits. He's a lot more speedy. I'm pretty sure he's faster than Ryu, and he doesn't have as many he doesn't have the raw power as Ryu, but what he does have is reliable combos. Um,
Yeah.
the big thing is just well, I guess the big thing is we'll just fucking flat out say it. The big thing is that Kazuya's in this game, and if you really want to play an input character, Kazuya just has so much in his kit compared to almost every other Shoto.
It's not
Besides,
worth playing. It's not like Kazuya might have the highest skill cap of all the input characters, but he is just that much better that it's still just play Kazuya, please.
yeah, and I mean Ken. Ken is very similar to Ike, where I think Ken is a very explosive secondary option when people don't expect you to actually do this much on Ken. Ken can be very destructive. It's just um he just doesn't have as many tools as many people thought. When the game first started, Ken actually did look really strong, like a pretty decently high-tiered character, but he kind of fizzled out as time went on. And again, Kazuya became a thing, so his worth kind of did dwindle since there was just a better input character in the game. He's not bad though. Very a lot of the characters at this point
Be
are
a
just
lot better though.
good secondaries. He just could have better tools and just, you know, be able to actually compete with Kazuya. Next character that's going to be coming up into the B tier is going to be Yoshi. Yoshi's kind of underrated, in my opinion. Not, a lot of people don't realize how good Yoshi actually kind of is in this game.
People, because people either think Yoshi's just mid, or people think Yoshi's. Some people think Yoshi's like a top 20 character, and I don't blame them either.
Very underrated. Not a lot of Yoshis are seen as much. Very explosive. That's one of the big things. Yoshi is an explosive character. He will do a lot of damage to you and can kill you before you even can notice it. And it's really crazy because you don't expect it from a character like Yoshi. It's kind of crazy the amount of capabilities Yoshi actually has. Just the big issue with Yoshi is honestly his recovery is kind of whack. He has a very good jump, but when he loses that jump, his eggs don't really help him out.
His eggs don't help him out. His recovery's still really good though.
It's still a good recovery, and he's very reliable. But I think it's just because of Yoshi's game plan, it's pretty easy to learn how to compete against Yoshi. And there are just characters that Yoshi can sometimes lose to. I think one of the big things is but also I wanted to point this out, that some people don't really take advantage of sometimes. Well, some people I see that play Yoshi. Yoshi can actually play lame. Yoshi actually has a decent projectile with his egg. You can play lame on Yoshi a bit.
But he also is really good at scrapping, so I
Yeah.
don't blame people for running in with Yoshi.
He's way better with scrapping in my opinion than he is at playing lame, but it's not a bad option. Yoshi's kind of scraping towards the A tier. I just think the characters in A tier are just too crazy for him to even make it up there. The next character that's going to be showing up is a character who used to actually dominate this game a lot. It's going to be Inkling, the Inklings.
Inkling would actually be with all of Inkling's tools. Inkling would actually be and I would actually put Inkling in high A to mid A, but Inkling is so figured out at this point that it doesn't matter that Inkling has amazing tools.
Especially with how popular Inkling was at the beginning of the game. A lot of people just have, it's basically muscle memory for some people for how they can just play against Inkling's whole game plan. And again, her tools are pretty good. They have good tools, like Ray said. They actually have pretty good options. It's just they're so played out that everybody basically knows them by this point. And there are just some other characters that just honestly have more cheese in their kit than Inkling.
Still kind of broken. Roller's still overpowered.
Yeah, Roller still is disgusting, but you could argue there are some other characters that just have more cheese than Inkling. And then the last character, and the character that we actually did debate on a bit for where we wanted to place, but we feel like this is the most comfortable placing him. We're going to be placing Ness at the top of B tier. Ness is another character that relies on how consistent you are with him. You have to be really consistent if you want to play Ness at a competitive level.
Because there's a lot of tech and there's a lot of tech and combos with Ness that are very hard to do, and you have to be really consistent with these things.
But like when you're consistent, Ness could arguably be like a high A tier character, it feels like. But I feel like if you're not consistent, he's like a C tier. So it's better off to like put him like in this middle ground, because it really just depends on how well you're playing with Ness at the time. I don't think you can solo Ness specifically just because it relies on how consistent you are. He's a good secondary option though, like probably the best secondary option. I mean that's why he's like on top of here. But like he just relies too much on the overall consistency just because of how, like, not only just unorthodox, but how hard the options he has, even if they are really incredible. And there's a damn helicopter. And this will actually finish off this part of the video. The next part that should be coming up after like maybe like a day, or maybe honestly I should probably upload it the same day. I'll see what happens.
You could.
I could, but the next part we're gonna be discussing the A and the S tier, the top tiers, and the characters we do think can solo majors. Just like to say thank you all for watching. Hopefully we see you on the next part, and yeah, take care. Hope to see you then.